Hey guys, welcome to the Brofessional Development Podcast. Today is, we're not doing the date anymore. Today's episode 81. We're going to talk about perception. So we're going to talk about quotes, books, podcasts, the difference between perception and belief, and even the idea of perception as it relates to success. So, and we've also, again, got our good friend of the show on, Kenny Wallace. Kenny, thanks for coming back on a second time.
Thank you. I'm more comfortable now.
Good.
How many starts?
You look like you're a little more open
900 and how many starts?
905 NASCAR starts. And
You're our first professional athlete.
So actually, Brad, you fucked up. Like, you didn't give any background into Kenny. It was just like Kenny Wallace. And
guys, that's why I said that we were going to give more background this time. It's called the Cliffhanger. So
who am I, Brad?
Kenny Wallace is Kenny Wallace is the second famous racing family in St. Louis, followed right behind me.
Right behind me.
Yeah. That's right.
The famous Russ Wallace, your brother Rusty, your brother Mike, and yourself all race NASCAR. Kenny now moved back to St. Louis. All your daughters live back here now? All three of them?
No. The youngest one loves North Carolina and just wanted to stay there. But Brooke and Brandy live back here.
So have you guys raced against each other?
No, but I'm a big Brad Loyette fan.
Do you
Extremely.
have a shirt?
He did drive my car.
Oh, I
yeah?
did. That's right. At the Chili Bowl.
Do you
Tried.
Do you have one of his shirts?
No, I don't. I'd love one.
One time, didn't you go to like a McDonald's and somebody was wearing a Brad Loyette shirt?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, that's me." And he goes, "No, you're not."
Yeah. It was like a weird
I
situation.
know you are, but what am I?
Yeah. Talk about perception.
Yeah.
That's a good segue.
That's a great segue. So the idea of perception, pretty broad, right? So let's start it off with any quotes that you guys have on what perception is.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth.
Very good. I like that, and I agree with that.
That actually kind of coincides with mine, which
Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius, great Stoic. Did you know that?
I'm very stoic.
You're very. That actually coincides with mine a little bit. There is no truth, only perception, and that is the great Dr. Phil that I pulled off a Google image, but pretty fitting, pretty on par with what your quote was, Dan.
I don't know why this question just came to me. Steve Harvey or Dr. Phil in a fight?
Oh, yeah, 100%
Steve Harvey. 100%.
You think Dr. Phil's been hit?
Sal talks.
I feel like
Hey,
they're
when I
like
need
the
to.
same- they're like the same size, but anyways.
I'd say Steve Harvey.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gotta be.
Yeah. Okay. Brad, what do you got?
So what I have is Miracles Are a Shift in Perception by Kenneth Wapnick. I thought it was interesting because usually, if something crazy does happen, like a miracle, you'd realize that it is possible. It could be a reality. It's not always what you think.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm like I said, for mine, there is no truth, only perception. I mean, that's exactly what it is. They say truth is in the eye of the beholder. Everything like us two could be looking at one thing and looking at the exact same thing and have a completely different view of it in any area of life. So it's an interesting topic for sure. Do you guys have any books, podcasts, anything that you would?
I don't, but before we move on, I have to talk because what you just said was like when two people are like looking at the same thing and they perceive it as something different. This is like something trippy I've always thought about. And it's like, am I living in a simulation where like what I fucking see and what is happening, is it even fucking real? Like, do you even see anything? Are you seeing what I see? Are we doing the same thing?
I think about living in a simulation all the time. I really do. But it's like, it's weird because have you heard like the main character, like, you have all this shit going on, and then in everybody's life they have the main characters, and they're like, it's fucking crazy to think about. And I haven't done enough research to really to figure out if it is or not, but it is interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, but maybe we save the Are We Living in a Simulation for the 420 episode when we're high as fuck next week.
Yeah, for sure.
On 420.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I will say,
hey, you're more than welcome. We're
What is the date? I've never smoked dope. Well, I did one time. Made me tired.
It's on April 20th.
What is the date right now?
It's next Wednesday is when it is.
It's what's
there
on
we go.
Yeah, it's next Wednesday. So we'll be in studio.
Oh, fuck, I'm not going to be here.
What?
I'm on vacation.
Fake
Oh.
news.
Vacation.
Yeah.
With who?
Going to Mexico with the whole family. Guys, I'm actually really fucking pissed about that.
Damn.
Cop out.
And you know I'm fun high.
Well,
That would be funny seeing you.
not as fun
you
as
wanna
me.
Smoke a joint because you're so mature.
But I do want to go back to that. Like, I think it's interesting to think about, like, what is the psychology? Like, we're born into an environment and then we start to develop beliefs. But, like, you can be born into an environment and believe opposite of what your parents believe. And then you can believe what they believe.
Yep.
So it's really interesting, the psychology behind it. And I'd be fascinated with doing more research that I haven't done.
So that being said, the book I was going to recommend is Mindset by Carol Dweck. And the big concept of that is there's people that have growth mindset and people that have a fixed mindset. Growth mindset says, like, whatever the fuck's out there, like, I can achieve, I can do, like, I have the ability to change or become this. Fixed mindset said basically whatever I was born into, money, talent, athleticism, genetics, it's like, that's everything. Like, that's the way it is. And there's no changing that. So like I said, it's like you could have two people with the exact same situation, handed the exact same situation in life, and you see that all the time, like little to no nothing when they're in their upbringing. One person's going to sit there and just say, this is how it is. We don't have money. We're broke. And one person's going to say, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I literally talked about
Love
this
that.
yesterday. So it's not a real story. It's probably happened, but basically twins are born. Their dad's an alcoholic, right? One of them ends up being like a speaker against alcoholism and doing all these things. The other one ends up as an alcoholic. It was like basically exact same situation, exact same upbringing, but they ended up in two different paths. So like, what is it that, you know what I mean, in the brain that like...
So wait, did you say what they, like the punchline or not the punchline, whatever it was to it?
I mean, basically like they ended up in the exact same environment growing up, and one ended up going this way and the other one went the other way.
Yeah. And so I think we talked about that in like way back in NASCAR, right? So one ended up alcoholic, one ended up not alcoholic. And when they asked, they're like, why did you end up an alcoholic? And he's like, because my dad was an alcoholic. Well, why didn't you end up an alcoholic? Because my dad was an alcoholic.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So they saw the same thing and just different outcomes. Yeah.
Which is weird. Just like, what part, like, do you choose this way or that way? You know what I mean? Like, there's something in everybody
And how much does luck
that's different.
play into it, right? Like, I don't know. It's I mean, what are your guys' thoughts?
Roger Penske has a great quote. One of the United States wealthiest men, owns the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What is it? Luck is when it meets preparation. You need to be prepared
To capitalize.
when something goes your way. If you're not ready, you can't do anything with it.
Yeah. And Jeff Bezos actually said something along those lines where, a lot of people chase the wave, right? They're like, as soon as crypto's hot, people are chasing that, but then the people that actually do have the luck were the people that were in crypto before crypto was a thing. They were in, like, for me, like my business was heavily reliant at one time on the mortgage industry, and I had been doing it for 4 or 5 years before interest rates went down to fucking 2%. And I was prepared at that time to take full advantage of that market. But then there were so many other recruiting firms at the time that were just like, oh, fuck, money's there. And they were chasing in and they just could not keep up because they didn't know what the fuck was going on. So, so that was, technically I got lucky, but I had to do the work to fucking make the money. And do it.
That's the thing though. Like, you were lucky, but you were prepared to capitalize on that. And to what you were talking about, the like, if you're ready for it, right? Like, perception is, like, if you look at like the idea of perception of money, and we talk about this a lot, like somebody wins the lottery, right? If somebody's good at managing their finances and they win the lottery, they're probably going to do a lot of good things with that. If somebody's perception of money is there's not enough, I'm always broke, and they win the lottery, what percentage of people end up broke after they end up winning the lottery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also think like the whole, my thing, like go to Florida, see yachts, and I say, hey, if that motherfucker can get a yacht, why can't I get a yacht, right? But I think that there's people that have this perception of, well, that guy either got lucky or inherited something, or I'll never be able to do that. And I think that's a perception as well. Like, I won't be able to do that. That's for somebody that's like on a completely different level, and they just basically limit their mental self at that point when they say, I can't do that.
Yeah. Now, Brad, you had a really good question on here in this outline, which I think will be an interesting one for everybody. It's, do you have any perceptions that have drastically changed over time? Like a perception on something and maybe how it's changed? No,
Brad,
I really am the only one that fucking prepared for this.
No, that is a great question. I'm thinking right
Say
away.
it again. Say it again.
No, so
I was actually trying to pull
So
my
what I
notes.
think I mean by that is I think a lot of times people perceive things as like, oh well, very similar to what you said, like, oh well, I'm not very smart, so I can't be smarter. Oh, I don't read books, or I don't know how to run a business. And I think what happens is it almost turns into a habit where people tell themselves the same thing over and over and over again, and it becomes a reality. So I think there's people like us, like everybody in this room, I think is like what I would call like a 1%er. You know, like we're the people that are doing the things that 99% of the other people aren't. So we challenge all those perceived notions of you're not able to do something. I think when that happened, like when I got hurt and I didn't know what the fuck was happening in my world, I was probably in like an odd spot where.
What was your first perception? When that
my
happened?
first perception is I'm fucked and like life sucks. And it lasted like that for like where I was almost like the habit was almost built that I was just gonna live a shitty life.
Until you
I
met
called
me and
you
I
too.
invited you to a book
I called him
club.
probably 2 times to say, hey, buddy, here for you. Okay, goodbye. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Man.
That was
I mean, it was a
Yeah.
weird time for me, you know. So I think that was a situation where I did break through that wall where I decided like, okay, life's not gonna suck. I can do something with it. And now I feel like I'm right now I feel like I'm in the best spot of my entire life, and that's with like the thing that I love doing the most was gone now.
Yeah.
It's like, but now I've replaced it with something else.
I think that, one thing is, okay, what are some items you have a perception on? So I think you can have a perception on, you get your entry level job and you see a VP, or you're a freshman in high school and you see a senior and you have this perception of like, oh, they're this person. And then all of a sudden you get to that level and you're like, oh, they're just fucking normal people. So that's a perception that changes over time just through experience and through being there,
Big
right?
time. Yep.
So I don't know if you're gonna jump into it or not, but the one that's really been fucking with me a lot lately is the perception of time. So I'm 34 years old. I've been out of high school now for 16 fucking years. Okay. I have kids. Okay. So I'm like, my daughter's 5. She's gonna be starting kindergarten. Like when you were in school, your thought was like, oh, I can't wait to be in high school. I can't wait to drive, right? Dude, it's been so fucking long since I've like had that thrill of like being able to drive. And it's like the last 16 years of being out of school versus the first 16 years of being able to drive a car has fucking flown by. And like, I don't know if there's like a stage, maybe Kenny can talk on it, to where it starts to kind of go back the other way, where life starts to feel slow. Like, is it when I have my grandkids, is life going to feel like slow, where I'm seeing like this process start again for the first time? Because like now I feel like what I'm seeing now, I watched my parents do. Okay, so I've already seen
years
that.
old and I can answer every bit of that. The biggest thing I learned, I always say biggest thing. We all learn.
I'll show you the biggest thing.
Yeah, I heard that. That's what she said.
that you're gonna learn.
Hey,
You're gonna show it from your phone? Because I know you're.
As smart as we all
Zoom?
try to be, we still go back to Beavis and Butthead. That's what she said. Because it's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, here, this is what I have learned. I will be 59 years old August 23rd. Be careful, young man. Do not live life and fast forward. Do not say, I can't wait till this Saturday. Hump day, Wednesday, that's all fine when you're young. What I have learned is this. About a month ago, I mean, this is a true story to 100%. I'm sleeping. All of a sudden, I woke up and I accidentally woke myself up because I don't know if you guys do it, but I dream like a son of a bitch. And I'm 58, and in my mind, as I'm sleeping, I'm going 58, 68, 78. And my eyes open. I went, fuck, I got 20 years left to live. Because in my mind, once you start hitting 80, they're going to pull the cord, right? So my advice about time is this. There's not enough. There's not enough time, especially when you love life like we do. I think we all do. I love life because I'm excited to get up and drink coffee. I'm excited where am I going to eat lunch, what I'm going to do. Be careful, young man. Don't live life in fast forward. Be careful. Say, man, I can't wait to go to the Blues game. Yes, you can wait. Wait and walk slowly into the arena.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Be careful because
So-
that shit will fly by.
Kenny, I'm actually glad you brought that up. Like, so I told you, Brett, I was like, I kind of like this topic. I don't know what about the question about time got me thinking, but I've been thinking about death like a lot lately.
Oh, yeah.
Like big time.
Me too.
And I don't know really what, like at first it was like my death. And then I was just like, because time's kind of flying by, like we talked about.
Mortality.
And then it was like the death of family members and realizing like those people are going to die. And like I was talking and like this could be considered like an early midlife or like an existential crisis, which existential crisis is just like basically like questioning or challenging like what your purpose, what meaning to life is, all this other stuff. And so it's a good thing because I'm realizing that I want to fucking enjoy every bit of life. And what Kenny was saying is like, I'm realizing I don't want any bit of my life to be like, to not enjoy, right? So it's like, love doing the shit that I do. It's like people look at like some of our schedules and they're like, how the fuck do you guys do all this, right? Like 5 kids, fucking traveled, fucking race car shit. It's like podcast, mastermind group, this, that, like, stay in shape, whatever. It's like, you need to take a break. And I've heard that. And it's like, now I am at a point where there's like, I have something going on just about every fucking night, but like I love everything that I fucking do.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know how that really like related to death, but like thinking about that, it's like time.
It was like a motivator for you.
It was a motivator,
Yeah.
right?
I'm
Because we're
interested in,
34.
And like, because you were a professional athlete, right? And you raced all that time.
For a living.
And there was a first time you got, your first NASCAR race, which I'm
Right.
sure was a huge fucking deal.
Right.
And then the last one and all that time in between and like your perception of time, like when you're going through it, do you even realize like, hey, one day this will be over? And then did it hit late or like, you know what I mean? Like, what did that look like for you?
I've lived a lot of valuable lessons. When I was a kid, I knew I was going to be the greatest race car driver ever live. And then when you realize, you're not Tom Brady and you're not Brett Hall, it's a crushing blow, because men are gladiators. And these are things that, I would have never said when I was 20 years old. Because when I was 20, I was going to fucking rule the world. It's the most crushing blow when you realize, when you come to age and you go, fuck, I'm not as good as those guys that I really thought I was. And then that's when I really matured up. And I hate to say this, but that's when I started saving my money because I thought I was going to be so good that I was always just having money. But I really believe it was a valuable lesson for me because I think I've always been good with money. I really do. But I really said, oh no, I'm not going to be making $30 million a year. I better start saving my money and doing the best I can with it. And I also, same subject, but these are things that I've dealt with. People get smart ass and they go, preach. I'm like, look, bitch, I'm not preaching. I'm telling you what I went through.
Right.
You know what I mean? Rusty, my brother Rusty Wallace, who's great, very self-centered, but a great athlete. He always said, Herman, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I saw great athletes get injured, save for a rainy day. But there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But I went through all these ebbs and flows. Your question, my life has truly been a journey. And part of me hopes you guys never go what I went through. Brad went through a crushing blow where he knew he was going to be Steve Kinzer, one of the greatest of all time. And now he's not because he got injured. And me, I don't even have an excuse. I'm just not talented enough. Although I did good. And I'm a good race car driver. But I thought I was going to be great. And I got hurt. I had a positional vertigo. I've cracked ribs. I've been, and I did a podcast with Dale Jr. And he said, why'd you move back to St. Louis? I said, because I fucking can't stand Charlotte, North Carolina, because it reminds me of my failures. And I don't mind facing my failures, but that's life. And the older I get, the more wiser I get. You got to go through all those peaks and valleys. Brad don't know, but he's better off now because he's so fucking smart and he's got those machines rolling. He's gonna make way more money than he ever did driving a dumbass
How many
race car.
clips of you being smart
So I
are you
know
gonna
that
take?
I know we had a joke teed up for Matt when he came in. And did he tee you up to say all this shit too?
Just say I'm smart at least 10
You know
times.
what it is? You know what? I'm overbearing because in my heart, I'm a good person and I know what he went through. And he works 1 mile from my shop and we don't ever do any goddamn thing together because there's a big generation gap. That motherfucker made fun of me because we were staying in Tulsa and we roomed together. And even though I had my cell phone, I called down to the front desk because I was afraid my phone might fuck up because I knew we had to get up early. Next day, he went ahead and laid it on me. He goes, man, you're an old motherfucker. You called down to get a wake-up call. Yeah. I'm like, because I'm afraid, well, that one golfer fucked his phone up.
Yeah.
And he missed his tee time.
I've done that, actually. I've done it.
And so that's that generation gap.
Yeah.
We're literally 1 mile from each other. I know what he went through. And I've reached out to him, but he don't give a fuck because he's too quiet. You know what I mean?
Him fucking quiet?
Well, he's witty. And he's a quiet witty.
Yeah.
He's like this. You're a dickhead.
Yeah.
And me, I'm like, you're a fucking dickhead. Brad's like, you suck dick. Ah. That's Brad. Witty as fuck.
I do want to touch on one thing Kenny said, one thing you said, Matt. So Kenny was talking about like the reality of like he said he wasn't good enough. And it kind of made me start to think of like, when does that happen? Like all these people who are professional athletes who, you know, in high school, these people are the best fucking football player at their high school, bar none. They go to college. They're the best fucking player in college. They go to the pros and it's like, boom, I'm no longer the best fucking person here. And like they've had people, this is where the perception part comes in, literally tell them, you're the fucking best person ever. Next level. You're the best fucking person ever. And then it fucking hits like a brick wall of like, I'm not the best person ever. Yeah. And that's gotta be a crushing blow. I wonder how many athletes across all sports deal with that. And I feel like that could be like a whole
The far majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to couple on that, right? Because I think that there's some athletes that were great, but then once they made it, they just fucking took it easy because they signed a $30 million contract or, you know what I mean? But then also the perception of the other athletes you're competing against, like if it was fucking Jeff Gordon or whoever, where it's like, do you have a perception of he's better than me? And you know what I mean?
So I went through that in my life. That was when I literally was free and real with myself. See, when I first started racing NASCAR, I only thought somebody was better than me because I had something. And then all of a sudden, I'm a realist. This new, the word that I've learned, a critical thinker. I became a critical thinker, meaning quit being a dumbass. Everything's right there in front of you. Now, I will say this. There were great race car drivers that got hurt, and they put me in their cars, and I hauled ass. And it saved my career many times. It's like the football player that plays for the losing team forever. Defense, offense guy, and then he goes play
Matt
for
Stafford,
the
right?
And wins.
Yeah, Stafford. Yeah.
I mean, that shit will happen. And Bill Elliott taught me. He said he's an old country guy from Dawsonville, Georgia. And he said something, and I still use it today. He goes, Herman's my nickname. He said, Herman, life's all about timing and circumstances. If you don't get in the right circumstances, you will never show your talent.
Yeah.
So the only thing that did save my career is when these guys that were great, that had the really good rides, when they got hurt, Steve Park got hurt, I got in a Pennzoil car. First fucking thing I did was set quick time at Rockingham and lead the whole race. Got fucked on a pit stop, run second. Saved my career. And then one more. Dale Earnhardt Sr. taught me this. This one of the greatest racers of all time. Good friend of mine. Very lucky. He's dead now. He got killed in a wreck. But he won a race. And I said, holy shit, you smoked him. In my old, Jefferson County redneck way. And he said, Herman, when you get a good horse, ride the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
So sometimes we are too hard on ourselves. And, Jeff Gordon told me right to my face, he says, you're better than you know. You just never had a good break. I'm trying to be rough on myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, and you got to balance that shit. And you go, well, it never did happen for me, So.
And then something I want to touch on real quick before we got to close out is you were talking about death, Matt. And death fucks with my brain a lot too. But it's to the point where I've accepted that I'm going to die. Like, I'm not scared of dying myself, but I'm scared of the time I'm going to be missing out with like my parents, with people that their time's a lot shorter than mine. I feel like I still have a lot of life to live. But
Right.
I look at it like we're in the middle portion of our life right now. And like I see my dad and like I've always been like, man, that motherfucker doesn't slow down. But now I'm starting to see the slowdown happen. And I'm like, I need to spend as much time with him as I can at like peak times. So it's like how you said, like you're thinking about like your family and them dying and like how do you approach that? I think about that all the time and it scares the fuck out of me.
You're a good
of losing
son.
my dad.
Yeah,
You're
well,
a good son.
but that's the thing.
You should be that
It's
way.
probably a good way to close out. That's a shift in perception, right? We live so long and going, I can't wait to get here. I can't wait to get here. I can't wait to get here. And one time you stop, you're like, okay, like I don't want this to end. Like I want to savor every minute of it. So yeah, that's a good way to end it. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. If you like the podcast, obviously give us a share and subscribe.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on, Kenny.
Kenny,
Man,
thanks
this
so much.
has been wonderful. Thanks for the therapy.
Yeah.
I don't ever get to hang around people like you. We're like-minded, and you some bitches are smart.
You're welcome.
Everybody hang around's dumb.
You're welcome to come back anytime. And we do have a monthly event you're more than welcome to come to and check out anytime. Bros in Business.
Yeah.
Bros in
TM.
business. I like that.
Yep. All right, guys. Later.
See ya.